Do you want to be divorced next week? Like actually divorced? Divorced, done, finito? That's what we're going to talk about right now. Hey everyone, welcome to Illinois Divorce TV, where we break down everything related to divorce and custody in Illinois. I'm attorney Robert Buchanan. Now let's dive in. Today we're talking about what a truly simple divorce looks like. People call me a lot and try to convince me that their divorce is simple, which I think is a tad funny. Do these people go to the doctor and try to convince the doctor that their fever is probably just a simple flu, or that the spot on their x-ray is a benign nothing? Do they go to the mechanic and tell the mechanic that the knocking sound is nothing and it should be simple to fix? I think these people have probably called a couple other lawyers, have been told their matter is not as simple as they think, and they're trying to find a lawyer they can convince to take on the case for a small flat fee because their matter is so simple. I appreciate their tenacity, but I'm not falling for it. It can be disheartening to find out that your divorce isn't simple. It means more money, more frustration, less next chapter. There are also people who say their divorce is simple because they have everything figured out already. And when I push them on that, it turns out they haven't figured out where the kids are going to live. That's like the toughest part. Well, let's talk about what makes a divorce truly simple. These are the divorces that when they come to my office, we get them done within 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes faster. I'm going to talk about the requirements of a truly simple divorce, but in reality, there is no formula. You could have a simple divorce without one or more of these. These are just the things in my experience that are present when things are simple. All right, let's go. The first requirement of a truly simple divorce is cooperation. Your spouse has to be willing to cooperate. They have to answer the phone when you call, get you information when you need it, and sign documents when you send them over. The second requirement is that you have to have already talked through the divorce and talked through the things that matter. You don't know if you have a simple divorce until you and your spouse have detailed conversation about who's taking care of what and who's taking care of the kids, if you have kids. If you don't own much, that could be a really simple conversation, but you have to have it. If you have kids, you have to talk about both the financial issues and the child-related issues. If you come to your lawyer and say, we have an agreed divorce, but you haven't talked about the kids, you've just assumed that your spouse is on board with whatever you want, you're making a huge assumption. Half the time you're right and your spouse will agree and it'll be easy. But half the time you're wrong, your spouse throws a wrench in the works. To really find out if you have a simple divorce, you should sit down with your spouse and talk through all of the issues that you're going to have to sign off on. The third requirement is, if there's a house involved, it has to have some equity. Having equity in your house just gives you options, and that's what you need with a simple divorce. If there's no equity in the house, you still have options, but the good ones, modifications, short sales, these sorts of things, take a long time to really explore. The fourth requirement is no businesses, or at least you need an agreement that one person's going to take the business in its entirety. Figuring out how to split a business takes a long time. Valuation might be necessary, complex calculations, logistical concerns. It can't be done in a short amount of time. Requirement 5. If you have kids, your spouse or you agrees to pay guideline child support or to reserve child support. Negotiating child support can take a lot of time and a lot of back and forth. If you're not agreeing on guideline support, you'll have to find a number that not only both you and your spouse agree on, but also the judge agrees on. Unlike other areas, child support can't just be waived by the parties, and the judge won't accept an agreement without making sure the kids are properly provided for financially. Another option is that you reserve child support, which means that you leave the question of child support open for later. Requirement 6, you and your spouse have roughly the same income, or at least there isn't a huge difference. If there is a huge difference, there's a good chance the issue of maintenance is going to come up. And unless you're the exception to the rule, discussing maintenance is not a simple issue. It can be, but it usually isn't. Requirement 7, you both have similar amounts in your retirement accounts, or you both don't have retirement accounts. In 9 out of 10 simple divorces, the parties take their own retirements or there is no retirement. If you're splitting retirement accounts, you probably don't have a simple divorce. I'm not saying it's not possible, just that it usually doesn't happen. Those are the major requirements, or at least signs, of a truly simple divorce. There's no formula for this sort of thing and nothing written in stone. Let me know in the comments what you want to hear about next week. Check out the description below and my other videos for more info, and don't forget to like and subscribe.